Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Allman Report. Happy Monday to all of you and yours. This is Common Sense Radio. It is the 3 Martini Lunch, and welcome. Last night, man, I'm telling you what, I have to figure this out because I can't. It was just raining all day long, and it continues to be raining off and on. And last night we had that torrential downpour, and unfortunately, what happens is my next door neighbor who's very nice, and I love the guy. But unfortunately, there's a little bit of a kind of a mud issue there. And so got up this morning, and this happened like 2 years ago, and my pool was filled with mud. So not filled with mud, but it was looked like a swamp because the muddy water drained in there. So that's how my Monday morning began, ladies and gentlemen. But you know what? Why would I complain? I am otherwise blessed and happy, and that's just how it goes. That's how you get through things, by just simply looking towards the sunnier day. So that's how my Monday began, and thankfully we're going to get it all taken care of, and it's just kind of a shock sometimes to see that. I'm just saying. Anyway, other than that, everything is fantastic. Also, by the way, I'm going to delve in just a little bit later on into the situation regarding Caitlin Clark, because this is getting really super bad. And, I mean, I am tired of seeing just the rampant abuse that I am seeing all the time. And I am just tired of it. And it has gotten so bad. And the referees are not, they're not in any way, shape, or form. Oh, yeah, Kathleen, yes, you see a pool sponsor in my future. Yes, that is true. And you probably will. And so that's how, but I do have a pool guy, but my neighbor's pool guy is going to be taking care of this one, I think. That's how that's going to go, because he's a nice guy, and everything is pleasant, everything works out, and everything is civil, and everything is groovy. So that's how it goes. But anyway, it's gotten to the point where now the referees, nobody even, they don't even call the fouls anymore. And even the announcers are looking at all this and seeing the fouls and saying, that's a foul, this is a foul. So anyway, I'll delve into that a little bit later on, because the women's prison system known as the WNBA is getting really super bad. And, of course, it's solely because Caitlin Clark is white. That's absolutely the only reason, and we'll delve into that in a little bit. But right now, ladies and gentlemen, let's find out how things are going there across the world, because Jim Talent is in the house after a big week. It's topsy-turvy. Jim thought maybe during the middle of the week there'd be something big, and I'm not sure whether or not you were right, because maybe something big did happen. I just didn't necessarily recognize it, although I do think this deal is pretty good. Jim Talent, welcome to the show. Hope you had a great weekend. How are you, my friend?
Oh, I'm fine, Jamie. Thank you. Yeah, a lot has been happening, and I expected there'd be more that we could be certain of. In other words, more that the administration would be confirming than has happened to this point. But no, not at this stage. We're still at a juncture where the next step is going to be kind of uncertain. Hey, can I take, I was thinking, because I figured you'd ask me about this, I was thinking, what do I need to do to really put all this in context? Can I have maybe 45 seconds to sort of sum up where we are now and how we got there?
Well, yeah, because I think, of course, because I think that's really what I think what we're normal, average, everyday people, and I would consider you to be one too. And we just kind of, this is starting to make our eyes kind of glaze over, because one day it's something, the next day it's something that is not, and this changed and that changed. And I think what happens is, I remember watching this video on Facebook, which I thought was the funniest thing. And this guy was like, he's a conservative, but he was like, I'm just your normal, average, everyday guy. And I don't know anything about the Strait of Hormuz or anything like that. I had to look up how long to boil an egg this morning. So I don't have time. I don't have the bandwidth to kind of claw my way through all of this stuff. And so, yes, of
Oh,
course we want you
yeah.
to.
When I talk to you, there's always such danger of going down rabbit holes. Did you really not know how long you're supposed to boil an egg?
No. I
Like
was saying I
3 minutes
was
for soft boiled?
Yeah, no, I was
Go
watching.
ahead.
I was actually, I really don't, but I just do it anyway. But I was identifying with this guy who was saying that there's so much overload, and I just can't be expected to keep up with every little thing. This is one
Yeah,
guy's opinion about
understandably
it,
so. So,
and had to figure it out. So when you just offered to give us a 45-second view of
yeah, I
how
think I can
things
do it in
go,
45
I
seconds.
was like, I don't care. You could take 2 minutes at least.
Sure. Well, okay. So, really, we have to go back to October 7th when Israel was attacked. So, at that stage, Iran's strategy had been clear for a long time. They had a very active network of quote unquote proxy groups. These were groups they'd funded, they'd armed, that moved at their direction to attack their enemies, to threaten. It was their way of exercising influence and achieving aggressive goals in the region. And they've been very successful in that. They controlled Syria through Bashar Assad. They controlled Lebanon through Hezbollah. They controlled Gaza. I mean, these are large parts of the Middle East. They controlled Gaza through Hamas, and they controlled parts of Yemen through the Houthis. And they had about 8 other groups over about 6 countries. Now, in addition, they had a substantial defense industrial base, defenses or a military industrial base, and a very substantial inventory of drones, ballistic missiles, cruise missiles. They had a navy. They had substantial military capabilities, and they had a very active nuclear program that was capable of producing a bomb in pretty short order. They had all that on October 7th. So now what have they got? Because of what the Israelis did and then what we did with Operation Midnight Hammer and culminating in Operation Epic Fury, Syria is gone as an ally. Lebanon, Hezbollah in Lebanon, you're seeing what's happening there. The Israelis are, I don't want to say taking them out, but they have lost Lebanon as a satrap. I mean, the Lebanese government is now acting independently. Hamas has been destroyed as an organized military force in Gaza and lost half its territory. And the Houthis have been very substantially degraded. And we did that with a 6-week bombing campaign, last spring. So they have been emasculated is a good word for it. Okay. So what are they doing now? They then about a month ago played their last card, which was the Strait of Hormuz. It's the last thing they have that they can get leverage through, that they can exert costs or impose costs on us and mostly on the rest of the world. Okay. So at this point now, the president has a couple of options. He can basically take the W up to this point and negotiate the best deal he can get, which will probably include having to unfreeze some of their assets. I don't like that because that gives them a jolt of money. Obviously, the president doesn't like it. It's been reported that's one of the things he doesn't like about this agreement. We can simply reject any further negotiations and continue the blockade, which is choking them economically. I should have mentioned that in addition to the military aspects of this, we've been throttling them economically for the better part of a month, and the blockade is the chief feature of that. And they're taking a much bigger hit than they're imposing on us or the rest of the world. Or the president can end the negotiations and force the strait open through military action, which would be my preferred solution, because I think that's checkmate. When we open up the strait so that all the freighters from other countries can get through and theirs can't because of the blockade, I don't think they have anything left at that point. So the interesting question, so that's the context, okay? So the question I would ask if I was a member of the press and I'm not, and they don't know anything about the region, so they don't ask this question, is I would really try and find out why we have not opened up the strait. Because,
Exactly.
we started to do it about 2.5 weeks ago. We can do it. I mean, when I was in office, I was briefed a number of times on this, and I've talked to my navalist friends. We can do it. It's a painstaking thing. There's not substantial risk to our own forces. My guess is the reason we haven't done it is because they still have some drone and missile capabilities. And the Saudis and the Gulf states are afraid that if we force open the strait, the Iranians will be able to hit their infrastructure, their desalinization plants, their oil infrastructure. And I think the president who has to manage this coalition, I think he is deferring to the wishes of the Saudis for now. Now, open source intelligence tells us that we have, in fact, guided about 70 ships through the strait. They've turned their transponders off. We have helped them. They're getting through the strait. I would be very surprised if the president does not really want to do that, because he knows that's checkmate. I mean, you think about what else have they got left after that?
Yeah.
I mean, it's nothing really. So, and we could maintain escorts in the strait actually indefinitely. We did in 1988. I mean, we escorted ships, I think, for the better part of a year through the strait. I mean, it's a substantial task for the Navy. We don't want to have to devote the assets to it. It's 12 to 15 destroyers and a lot of air cover and all of that. But we could do it. And eventually, once we started doing it, then you would have some international help, although it's still going to be an American operation, let's face it. And boy, is that a comment on our allies, I have to tell you. And we could get into that rabbit hole if you want.
Well, before we do, I wanted to ask you about the cash, because this is one of those situations where those of us who are just regular Joes are thrust into the situation where we have some explaining to do, and we don't really know how to explain it. So you know what I'm getting at here, because, for years now, we've been all squawking about Obama and plane loads of cash to Iran, Obama plane loads of cash to Iran, Obama plane loads cash. And then now suddenly this might not be plane loads of cash. By the way, that cash being assets that were already Iran's that were released. So we're going to do that again. We're just going to call it something different. How is that going to work?
Yeah. Well, there are several different avenues, things that they would like us to do to free up or to get them some assets, some money. Now, as I understand it, Jamie, and we're now in the world of like trade and finance, which is not my field of expertise, okay? But that what we are considering is unfreezing some of their assets, which would give them access to those assets. President doesn't want to do that. I mean, you just know. I know if you understand him as a negotiator, you know going in that he doesn't want to do that. So I think the only reason he does it is because he wants to get the strait open, and if he can't, if the constraints from allies are such that he feels we can't do it, then yes, the Iranians have some leverage, and he'll take less of a deal than he would otherwise get. What I want people to understand is the reason he would do this is because it's still a huge W for us. In other words, this whole operation is an enormous success. So this is Trump trying to figure out how to get the biggest possible win, which is what he does, right? Even if we have to unfreeze those assets, there are so many different ways. I mean, they have lost so much money. Their whole defense industrial base has been effectively destroyed. So they would use that money, I'm sure, just to try and prop up the regime, because I mean they're in danger. They've had to open up the internet now, and they're in danger at home. But no, I would not like to see that. I mean, I was asked on a different program some weeks ago what I would consider. What is it about a deal that I would not like? And it's not letting them keep whatever enriched uranium they have, because they have no nuclear industrial base or weaponization industrial base, and we and the Israelis can police everything that they do. So I am not that particularly concerned about a nuclear weapon. I know the president, of course, from his position, he has to be. But I did not want to unfreeze any of their assets. So if we have to do that, it's because the downsides of opening up the strait a different way are greater than the president wants to accept. And that's, I don't know what he's going to do. I will say this, and it's not just because I'm a Trump supporter, and I am a Trump supporter, but I trust him in this kind of a domain, in this kind of a format. I trust him. And so that doesn't mean I'm not going to be critical if I see a reason to be critical, but we'll see what he does. We have a lot of different options. The question is, do we want to play them? You know, I haven't even mentioned further kinetic attack, which we could do also, and which he's considering. So we'll see. I mean, when I listen to what he says and I listen to what Hegseth says, he's still driving for the big deal, the big win, and he may be able to figure out how to get it. I just think we're going to have to open up the strait if we want to get the big win.
Yeah, well, we could just put certain regulations on the money. Like we could tell them they can't buy soda or Fritos or Ding Dongs or nuclear weapons, with the money.
The devil in this is to some extent in the details. And this is an area, again, I just can't get it. I just don't know to be able to get into it. But we got Bessent watching over all of that. We have other means of imposing economic costs on them, which we're doing. We've broken up the lines they had to launder money through the UAE. The UAE has emerged now as a steadfast ally. There's so many pluses to this that we've already got. And the president may just be thinking, maybe sometimes you just want to take the W and then come back, figure out a different way, and come back later on. So the thing that riles me is when people say this has not been a victory for us. I mean, I've lived, they took over in 1979 and are still in power. So that encompasses my entire time in public life. And there is never a time when I had any responsibility for the national security of the United States when I was not really, really worried about the Iranian threat. And I'm not anymore.
Yeah, well, even the creation of a new Gulf state alliance itself is a miracle.
Jamie, this is the Middle East is messy. If we achieve the kind of success the president wants, it may, for the first time in anybody's lifetime, stop being messy. But even if it isn't, we are in a position with this new coalition that we built, and backed up by our diplomatic and economic leadership and Israeli military power, we're in a position now to manage the Middle East and at low levels of risk that, again, we haven't seen in our lifetime. And the president he's got all that on his mind. Okay, remember, I think it was last week when he issued a statement saying, "Okay, we're going to go back to negotiations, but I want the Saudis and the others to join the Abraham Accords." Remember that? That was in a Truth Social post. So there's an example. He might be saying to the Saudis, "Okay, you know what? We can open up the Strait of Hormuz. We're not going to do it because you guys, you're scared." And I do wonder when they're going to put their big boy pants on. You know what I mean? Yeah. But you're scared. But in return for that, this is what you got to do, which would be another huge victory if we got that. So I, again, urge people to let this play out. I want gas prices down. I'm not going to say as much as anybody because I can afford to pay it, but I don't like paying it. I'm an old man, Jamie. You may not believe this. I remember when you could get gas. People are going to freak out, but you could get gas for 30 or 40 cents a gallon. That's how old I am.
Well, listen,
when I first started driving.
When I was growing up in U City and I would walk the streets, and just kind of because I was just a little, renegade. No, we'd walk around and we'd walk around, and at this corner of Del Mar and Hanley, there were 4 gas stations, and I remember that one of them was torn down for something, and it was literally in the 70s, and there were signs, I'll never forget them, that said 24 cents a gallon. So,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I have bought. I didn't want to say it because I didn't entirely trust my memory, but I'm almost certain I have bought gas at 25 cents a gallon.
Yeah, I mean,
I
you
mean,
know.
it's like when I was first driving, which was a long time ago. Okay, so I don't like it where it is now, and it will go down. I mean, there's no because we're gonna do something to open up this rate. I just would love it. When they announced, I guess 3 weeks ago, they were going to do Project Freedom and open up the strait, I just said yes. I said, that's checkmate. I mean, I did some interviews and said it.
Yeah.
And I know the president wants to do that. CENTCOM wants to do it. But he's managing an emerging coalition in the Middle East. And I'm 90% certain that that's the only reason that we haven't. As a matter of fact, I think, before announcing that, what happened. CENTCOM was working with the different shipping companies and had already picked the ones who were going to go first through the strait and show the others that it could be done. So we can do that.
Yeah.
Now, we can't reduce the risk to zero. I mean, and that's the other possibility is that these companies, we want zero risk. Well, we can't do that. I mean, that's just it's not possible. But we can reduce it to a very, very low level where they should be able to transit freely. And that's what I still hope that happens. Because
Yeah.
I know Trump is in the back of his mind is thinking, maybe I'll just do that and the Saudis can go to blazes.
Yeah, just a quick question, though. How many gallons did your brown Plymouth Duster take?
I'm trying to remember. I usually, even at those levels, I usually didn't fill it up.
Wait a minute. Did you have a brown Plymouth Duster?
No.
Okay,
I'm referring to whatever car it was.
I'm
I
just
would have
thinking-
been driving my parents' car.
Okay.
My first car was a Pinto station wagon.
Ah,
It was
nice.
lime green, and
the kind that blow up.
No, because it was a wagon.
Oh,
It had a rear window defogger, which was like the first of its kind. I love that rear window defogger because I was going to school in Chicago, and I could get in and I could punch that button, and the back window would unfreeze. Didn't have to chip the ice off. I love that car. I loaded it up, and again, your younger listeners are going to laugh, but I got studded snow tires. Remember when snow tires were a thing? And I put about 100 pounds of a couple of 50-pound sandbags in the back because it was rear wheel drive, of course. Most cars were in those days, and I could go anywhere in that car. It was like a tank. It really was.
Well, I guess I fancied you as kind of the 16-year-old with your collar popping and your Plymouth Duster driving around. But the Pinto's fine. That's great. By the way, those studded tires. And my sister lives in Homer, Alaska, and when I last saw her, we met in North Carolina for something for my mom, and she was headed back up, and they said, we were talking somehow about, but in Alaska, they still use studded tires and chains on their tires.
Chains, yeah, I bet they do.
Yeah,
I bet they do. Yeah, I never had chains. I didn't need them.
Those are good for the streets, by the way.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons Brenda went out with me because, I was in Chicago. We were in law school together. It was the winter of 79.
Oh.
78, 79, which is a terrible, terrible winter in Chicago. And I was one of the few guys in the class who could move around because I had a car that could get through it. Yeah.
Yep. Brenda was liking the guy, mobile guy.
She wasn't terribly impressed driving in my sort of lime yellow Pinto station wagon, but I could get uptown.
That's funny. I had a yellow car too. I had a 1971 Chevy Impala that I bought with my own money for $150 from my uncle, and that thing was a beast. And I wound up having to continually change the water pump because that was back when you could actually work on engines and stuff. And I changed the water pump, but I had to do it like 2 or 3 times. And finally, I must have done something wrong because it overheated. The engine block cracked. And the last thing I remember is this yellow ooze coming out from underneath the engine, and it was over. So,
yeah, mine used to rust, and so I would have to sand it down, and then repaint it. And I often didn't get the paint exactly right, or it had faded. So it was a strange looking car by the time I traded it in.
We did love this.
I was driving it around to go to some car dealers to trade it in, and one of the headlights in the front sort of half fell out. I thought I gotta get this car traded, and they gave me junk value for it. Of course,
I one time had an idea for this reality show, and we were limited because of technology. So my dream was to somehow reunite people with the cars they grew up in, or that their mom or dad had, or they had their first kiss in, or their first date in, whatever. But the problem with that is that the whole VIN number system really didn't come about until later in the 70s and things like that. So tracing an automobile is almost impossible. But, you could almost get there in some cases, but that would be fun to be reunited with that Pinto, wouldn't it be? You'd love to know where that is right now, right?
well, I liked it if I reunited with my lime yellow, multicolored Pinto. I liked that rear window defogger, Jamie.
Yeah.
I did.
It's probably being driven around by a Cuban about now.
No, they broke it up, I'm sure, for junk. There's nothing else you
I'm
could
sure,
do. But
I
I kept it like 7 years, and in those days, that was a long time to keep a car.
Yeah. Yeah, I
7 years.
totally agree, man. I love, those were back in the days when they built them like tanks anyway, My dad had this.
And you could work on it. It's another thing, your younger listeners. I didn't do a lot because I wasn't any skilled at it, but I would change the oil on my own.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it wasn't.
Sure.
Those, my dad had a 69 Oldsmobile 98 that I loved only because, first of all, it floated. Like when, it's the kind of car that you drove and it floated. It was really weird and groovy, but it had a Wonder Bar on it. And the Wonder Bar was the first technology where you could push a button and the radio would tune. So it still had that orange little, pole or whatever it is on the thing, but it would be moving by itself. You just push a button and it'll stop.
Oh.
But it was, my dad loved gadgetry anyway, and so that was pretty cool, called the Wonder Bar. Yeah, it's groovy. All right, man.
So, Jamie, before we go, as the last 10 minutes discussing cars and Pintos and Dusters, has this been good radio?
Absolutely. No, but because my people, our people, love detail and again, when you offered to give us kind of this nutshell of where we're at, it was very appreciated because what happens is we just hear, we turn on the radio or we watch the TV or whatever, or we go to the internet and we're just bombarded with stuff that we really can't necessarily put into files ourselves. So it's always nice to have somebody who actually is the file. Like what we should start calling you. Jim Talent's the human file.
Well, I want your listeners to feel good about this effort here. It's a real example, and Trump does this. Well, I'll close by telling you this. I remember in the 80s, and I was a kid in the legislature, and we would drive back from Jefferson City and listen to the radio and the news. And it was wonderful because we had a president that you could be confident was not going to miss the obvious. You know what I mean? That he would take advantage of obvious opportunities and avoid obvious risks. And with all due respect to the president's predecessors, this is the first president we've had where I felt that way, where I just said, okay, what is obvious about this? And I can have confidence that the president gets it. And he knew that the minimum we were going to get was the huge success we have got. He's now playing for the big win. He may or may not get it, but I'm willing to give him some running room to try. And I say this a lot to some of my very hawkish friends who are worried that we're going to do something dumb. And I say, this guy doesn't do things that are dumb, not in the area of foreign affairs. I'm not saying he's never made a mistake, but he just doesn't miss the obvious.
Yeah, I mean, I remember early on where people we were going into this thing, and there are people saying, "Do we have enough ammunition?" It's like honestly, seriously, you people. It's kind of like, although Kevin Harvick was an exception, but it's like going to NASCAR and asking the people, "Hey, do you have enough gas for this race?" It's like, this is a car race. Yes, I do. Except Kevin Harvick would run out of gas. I don't know why.
They wouldn't have done it if we didn't. So when CENTCOM said, I mean, that's such an obvious thing, we would have said, no, we can't do it because we don't have it. Now, if the balloon were to go up tomorrow in the Indo-Pacific and you asked me, do we have enough munitions, I would tell you almost certainly no.
No.
Which means we don't want the balloon to go up there. You know what I mean? This is why the administration is investing. Is another obvious thing he hasn't missed, is we need to build up the defense industrial base. And one of the priorities is, yes, let's have enough bullets, which in the modern parlance means, enough missiles, enough drones, enough precision strike. We don't have that. And you and I could spend another half hour talking about the mistakes that have been made in the past, that has put us in a position where we don't have it and where we don't have the industrial base to produce it as quickly as we could. But I'm confident that by the time this man leaves office, we are going to have a reinvigorated defense industrial base.
Yeah,
and it's another service he's providing to the country.
Well, it's a matter of fact, and people have released the information about our technology, and we are pursuing cheaper develiment of certain missiles and things like that, which is good. It's President Trump, he's gonna look for, just like he did with the ballroom, he's gonna look for the best deal, and that's how we're gonna do it apparently, and that's good.
Yes, and it's a subject for another day, but maybe we can talk about some of their innovations there, Jamie. And it's good talking to you as always, my friend.
Hey, listen, I love it, and I so appreciate your time. We love and appreciate your time and your brain and your frivolity, too. Whenever you need to step that one up, you're always good. So appreciate you, my friend.
Yeah, if you get that duster, let me know. You can take me to lunch.
Well, maybe then
we'll go to a steak and shake like the old days, right?
Steak and shake, huh? Okay. And then also, by the way, I will. I haven't forgotten about your T-shirt. Okay.
Good. I was going to bring it up, but then I thought, no, I'll give him another week.
Give me another week.
These
things come fast.
With you. Okay.
All right, brother. Right. I appreciate you as always. That is the great Jim Talent, ladies and gentlemen. And this is a happy Monday. It's Common Sense Radio. It's the Allman Report on News Talk STL, the 3 Martini Lunch. Coming up, Caitlin Clark finds herself in the women's prison known as the WNBA, and she's not getting any help from the referees. It's vile. We'll tackle that. Plus, the scientists are out in force now. Yeah, they think it's a good idea to release a bunch of good mosquitoes. Yeah, we'll see how that thing works out. Happy Monday, everybody. And Megyn Kelly, I told you she'd do it. She finally kind of ripped off the mask and imploded. So we'll follow up on the end of Megyn Kelly. Good afternoon, everyone. It's Common Sense Radio.
Thanks for taking my call.
News, analysis, opinion.
Radio news junkie. Love every bit about it.
News Talk STL.
Speaking of mosquitoes, I am gradually getting set up now for my mosquito treatment through Buckingham Pest Control. I wouldn't use anybody else. Love these guys. I love Noel, and they're going to get me taken care of with the best kind of mosquito treatment out there. Keep in mind, there are varieties of ways that people do tackle mosquito problems, and I'm telling you, the fogging doesn't cut it in any way, shape, or form. You need to have the spray treatment. Noel Buckingham is an expert in pest control. That's what it's all about. And so Noel Buckingham is going to get it taken care of for you, and this spraying the trees is how to do it. Fog doesn't even really make contact. And yeah, you might get a few here and there. The spraying of the trees, and it's safe for the trees, everything else, and vegetation. It just gets the job done, and you don't have to worry about it for a while. BuckinghamPestControl.com. I've known Noel for a long time. Don't forget, you could still go on the St. Louis Magazine A-List contest and vote for the Buckingham Pest Control for best, in the home goods thing, best insulation, best pest control, because they do have that pest control insulation, which is really super cool. And I'd look into that as we go back to winter, by the way. It's a pest control insulation. So also don't forget termites. Termites are loving this day. They love this kind of weather. They're very active. You don't want to find out you have termites until your deck is collapsing. So check it out. He's got a termite approach that is similar to the unique approach of the mosquito killing. So make sure you check it out. Spiders and beyond, any pests that you might have, he will, and his team, he will take care of it. BuckinghamPestControl.com. Strong supporters of free, common sense, conservative radio.
To have a roof over your head, a nice roof over your head, is very important.
That's Rick talking about his experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago, and they're very cooperative on getting us the right paint. They're in and out and done in no time. Once it was finished, looked great. We were very happy with it.
The main reason Rick called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by a 25-year transferable warranty.
We've watched a lot of people get their house painted 3 or 4 times, and we haven't had to do any of it. I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to have to paint it every 5-7 years.
Take a tip from Rick and put down the paintbrush and call Rhino Shield for your free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago. Financially makes sense, especially if it's going to last like this did. Still looks great.
Call now. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com.
No paint, don't Rhino, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
This is Larry Connor's commentary on News Talk STL.
I'm hearing music in my ears. Wait, what is it? Oh, yes, Send in the Clowns, a legendary ballad. In theatrical reference, if the crowd watching a performance is bored, you send in the clowns. Which brings me to the latest Democrat clown, Texas State Representative James Tallarico, defeating fellow clown Jasmine Crockett to run as senator from Texas. Tallarico won by almost 10 points on the basis of, what, did he campaign in blackface? Anyway, he's now campaigning, claiming neighbors with uteruses should be able to control their body. What does he mean, our neighbors with a uterus? Is he excluding women who've had a hysterectomy? Is he including biological born men who claim they are a woman with a uterus? These are heavy political issues for Texas voters. Plus, he claims displaying the 10 Commandments in public schools is an act of violence. He also claims God is non-binary. Tallarico is the latest of the Democrat clowns. Send in more of them. And then you can ask, why did we lose our elections when we had our smiley clown faces? That's why you lost.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
Chris Arps here, and after Becky and I leave church on Sunday, we head down the street to Capriotti's to grab a classic meatball sub. I love Capriotti's, and you will too. Visit Capriotti's now at 2 locations on Manchester, McKnight, and Rock Hill, and now in Creve Coeur on Olive, just 1 mile west of 270.
Free speech is alive and well in America right here.
It's about time somebody stood up for true American values.
What this country needs is some backbone.
Finally, a president who wants to make real change.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. The Allman Report, sponsored by Grasser Home Services.
Red Rocks, give Grace Potter a big welcome. So to all of you people out there that have that somebody in your life that you know that's not really good for you, but you keep going back, this is for you. Baby, here I am again, kicking dust in the canyon wind, waiting for that sun to go down.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's Common Sense Radio. It's the 3 Martini lunch, my friends. That's one of the things I really miss about working at Bush Family Brewing is the music that we all played all the time. Just loved it. And Kenny Chesney was one of the good ones. I mean, I can play it myself, I guess, but it just was. It was a great vibe to be at this bar and watching people hang out outside and music kind of wafting around the whole area there. Anyway, good afternoon, everyone. It's the 3 Martini lunch. It's the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Jamie Allman here with you, Ashlyn over there, and yeah. So here's the deal. Speaking of mosquitoes, I was just talking about Noel Buckingham, and I kind of went really long with Jim, so I've got to kind of break in about 5 or 6 minutes, I think, right, Ashlyn? Somewhere in that category, so we're going to smush everything in. But this is an example of where these people who are doing all the science, it's how we got into the COVID problem. And I'm sick of scientists just kind of experimenting all the time on stuff. And that's exactly what they were doing with COVID, messing around. And, of course, we had to be the ones to find out after they were effing around. And now the latest is Google. By the way, what is it about Google wanting to do something like this? They want to release up to 32 million good mosquitoes in California and Florida. This is how the news is reporting it.
So good to be back with you.
So great to be here.
Yeah.
The morning charge is on.
It's the morning show at
The energy is
KTLA.
high. The weather, in
Yeah.
terms of temperature, is ticking up. We're going to hit 90s across some parts of SoCal.
Yes,
By
we
the way,
are.
I'm Megan Tellis.
I'm Kirk
There we
Hawkins.
go.
Thank you so
Okay.
much for joining us.
Yes.
Happy Sunday fun day. Let's take a look at your forecast.
Okay.
Those local
Suspect alleged immediately.
I thought
21
this was.
Jonathan
I think this. Well, I'll just go ahead and do the story for you because this isn't coming over the way I thought it was going to come over. So anyway, I'll just give you the story. So Google is trying to stop bad bugs with good bugs by releasing millions of sterile mosquitoes to eliminate the ones that carry disease. Now, first of all, we all know that. How many of you know anybody, and I get it, there's always that one person who's bitten by a mosquito and is like, blood poisoned or I don't know, but I don't know anybody who's ever been bitten by a mosquito. I mean, if there aren't many of them around. So how is it possible that the real priority among these scientists with their debug programs is to eliminate ones that carry disease? And basically just kind of screw up with the natural order of things anyway. I mean, mosquitoes are considered to be the deadliest animal in the world. There are some that carry dengue fever, Zika, Chungunga, Gugigi, Glagango. I don't know what the hell they're talking about here. But I've never known anybody, hey, did you hear Frank got dengunga gugi? How'd that happen? Oh, we got bitten by a mosquito. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah. I gotcha. What about Chungongandi Goga? Yeah, Bill got that when he was camping. Like, have you ever heard any of that? No, of course not. So what they do, Google is saying, we need a new approach. So they say good bugs are the same species of mosquitoes as the bad bugs that spread disease. Our good bugs are male mosquitoes that have naturally occurring bacteria called whatever that says, which makes them unable to have offspring with wild female mosquitoes. And the bottom line is, as I know, it doesn't matter what you say about good mosquitoes. They absolutely bite. The good mosquitoes still bite. So releasing, what's the number again? Oh, yeah, 32 million good mosquitoes in California and Florida. And by the way, That sounds like a job for Noel Buckingham Pest Control, to go down there and right the ship. I'll give you a quick example, just a real quickly example of how scientists who play around can ruin things. So I live near Forest Park. The scientists at WashU, we were wondering why suddenly all these coyotes were winding up in our neighborhood. And basically it is a park, but why they were all over the neighborhood, and they were starting to menace pets and children and everything else. And somehow somebody found out that WashU was somebody inquired to WashU, like, hey, how come we see like a coyote with a collar on? And they're like, oh yeah, that's Opal. I'm like, excuse us? Yeah, she's Opal. We've released a bunch of coyotes into Forest Park and other places to kind of determine how coyotes live in urban areas. I'm thinking, why would you do that? And so these things, I had one show up at my pool while I was out there one night. I've told you guys this story before. It didn't hurt me or anything. But guess what ultimately happened to Opal? Well, one of the residents, we don't know who it is, beat her half to death with a shovel because they were causing so many problems and killing other animals and stuff like that. And they were just, you don't want to have coyotes wandering around. But that was WashU's experiment. Oh, we were just trying to figure out, like, you know, what would happen. Oh, yeah? Did you release him in your little neighborhood there off of Clarkson Road? Hell no, you didn't.
There were times I thought you'd win.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's Common Sense Radio. It's the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Yeah, it looks like Megyn Kelly finally has pulled it off. We'll follow up on that in just a little bit. It's Common Sense Radio, the 3 Martini Lunch, the Allman Report on News Talk STL.
I like poison in my blood. One more night could kill me, baby.
If you have a phone, you have a radio. Download the all-new News Talk STL app.
Love the all-new app.
And listen anytime, anywhere.
The Wallner home selling team of Berkshire Hathaway, and ladies and gentlemen, I am absolutely pleased and privileged to be part of the Wallner team, buying and selling homes. I was showing a bunch of homes over the weekend, wrote an offer on a home this morning, and just kind of, it's a flurry of activity. It's a lot of fun. It's very rewarding working with some really great people, not only on the buyers and sellers end, but the people of the Wallner team. We're all good friends. We all help each other out, and we mostly focus on making sure you are happy as a buyer or a seller, getting you the top price for your home you can possibly get. We create competition for the home. We dress it up so nicely, drone pictures, everything else. We get the top dollar for your home, which is important this day and age. And also, as a buyer, we get the lowest price you have to pay. We negotiate and help you out and get the job done for you. So you can trust. I've done this, more than a year now, and I really absolutely love it. And it is a ton of fun. I've sold a ton of homes and gotten people into their dream homes, which is really very rewarding, very fun. I'm helping a couple with their first-time home buying experience right now, so we're hoping for the best on that. Always follow through on the inspections, get everything done right, get you the best possible deal on the buyer's end. 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD is the number. It's the Wallner home selling team of Berkshire Hathaway.
On the next, Larry Connors, USA.
The story behind the story, the plane crash that killed Missouri Governor Carnahan.
Larry Connors, USA. Now, weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL. The Allman Report, sponsored by the Wallner Home Selling Team.
Jill Biden got a little testy when she was asked about how confused even now the liberal news media is with her old I thought he was having a stroke comment. They're like, after that, you talked about how healthy he was. So how does that happen? She didn't like that question. And they never like it when their friends in the media turn on them, right? That's what it's called. Instead of asking a normal question, they consider it to be, you're turning on us. You're supposed to be helping us. And it's true. They do help them. But we'll follow up with that. It's a fancy Monday. It's the 3 Martini Lunch. It's the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Thank you so much for listening. Finally, some sun, which is beautiful too. So thank you for spending a sunny lunchtime with me.
Dude, this house is perfect. Crumbs everywhere, sticky counters. I've already texted the colony.
Sweet. I'll bring my 500 cousins. This'll be the biggest ant rager of the summer.
Let's party! Wait, what's that sound? Oh, no, it's those trucks with the green wheels. Party's over, man. Party's over.
This is Derek, the owner of All Solutions Pest Control. We'd love to help you out. Give us a call today for a free estimate at 636-486-7888.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
Yo, this is Vic. Vic for Vets is proudly honoring our veterans. Every Wednesday at 11:05, you'll hear about that day's honoree and their incredible service to our country.
Hi, it's Ken. You want to nominate a veteran? Send their name, service information, and story to me, Ken, at newstalkstl.com.
Brought to you by Heroes Care, Alamo Military Collectibles, Gemini Wealth Group, Michael's Funeral Home, and Freddie's Market.
Together, let's celebrate the heroes in our community. Vic for Vets, where honor meets gratitude.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm John Scott. Iran stops negotiations with the U.S. and vows to completely block the Strait of Hormuz. Correspondent Bernie Bennett.
Iran state-affiliated news outlet Tasnim said Monday that Iranian negotiators will stop exchanging messages with the U.S. through intermediaries, and Tehran will move to fully close the Strait of Hormuz in retaliation for what they call ongoing ceasefire violations. The report, in a translated post on the social media site Telegram, homed in on Israel's military operations in Lebanon against the Iran-backed militia Hezbollah. Per Tasnim, the message reads, no dialogue will take place until Israel fully withdraws from occupied areas in Lebanon and stops all attacks in both Lebanon and Gaza. Bernie Bennett, Washington.
Israel's government has ordered strikes on Beirut's southern suburbs. The strikes come a day after Israeli ground forces reached their deepest point in Lebanon in 26 years. Hezbollah fired rockets at northern Israel, including near Haifa. The Israeli strikes follow what Israel calls repeated ceasefire violations by the terrorist group. New developments in the trial of the man accused in Charlie Kirk's death.
A Utah judge will decide whether to restrict access in parts of a July preliminary hearing and seal some exhibits in the case of the man accused of killing Charlie Kirk. Tyler Robinson's defense hopes to bar reporters and the public from parts of the July 6th through 10th proceedings. They'll feature the most significant presentation of evidence to date. Prosecutors are hoping for the death penalty if Robinson is convicted. He's charged with crimes including aggravated murder and the September 10th assassination of Kirk on a Utah college campus. Robinson has not yet entered a plea. I'm Haya Pinjwani.
Oil prices rising following the latest fighting to threaten the U.S.-Iran ceasefire. Wall Street is mixed. The Dow dropping 29 points. The Nasdaq ahead 134. More at townhall.com.
Here's something nobody tells you about owning a home. While you were at work, your house was working too. Property values went up. You paid down principal. Your house quietly earned you tens of thousands of dollars, maybe a lot more, and never asked for a thing in return. The average American homeowner has built 6 figures in equity over the last few years. 6 figures! And most have never collected a penny of it. Fellowship Home Loans helps you collect. For over 20 years, Mike and Brian have shown families how to put that equity to work. A HELOC, a cash-out refi. Money for the renovation, the debt consolidation you need, or that project you've been putting off. Everything is done in-house. One roof, one team, all with a servant-led mentality. People who treat you like family. Your home already paid you. Go cash the check. Go to fellowshiphomeloans.com/Mike G or call 800-510-MIKE. 800-510-6453. 800-510-MIKE. Fellowship Home Loans. Mortgage lending by the book.
Nationwide Mortgage Bankers, DBA Fellowship Home Loans, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS number 819382.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Window World of St. Louis. For replacement windows, doors, and siding, call 800-GET-WINDOWS. That's 800-GET-WINDOWS. From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
Rough morning around the area. A lot of heavy rain, thunderstorms, lightning, and severe storms, but things are clearing out as far as the rainfall. Only an isolated thunderstorm anticipated this afternoon. It is going to be warm and muggy, the high temperature into the lower 80s. Overnight tonight, dropping down into the 60s, a dry night, a dry day tomorrow under sunny skies. In fact, Tuesday and Wednesday look absolutely delightful. Low 80s, low humidity, lots of sunshine. Enjoy it. In the First Alert Weather Center, I'm KMOV meteorologist Kent Earhart.
Democracy is loud, and tomorrow night, you can be right in the middle of it. News Talk STL is bringing the St. Charles County Executive Primary Debate to Lindenwood University in St. Charles at the J. Scheidegger Center for the Arts. No reservations, no tickets, just show up. Can't make it in person? Catch every word live on News Talk STL from 7 to 8:30 p.m. The St. Charles County Executive Primary Debate tomorrow night. Brought to you by the St. Charles County Republican Central Committee, Mid-Rivers News Magazine, Lewis and Clark's Pachyderms Club, and the Hammond Institute for Free Enterprise at Lindenwood University.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness One. Wellness One is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common-sense science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on Newstalk STL. And you can visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
Hey, it's Monday, and that means great pizza at a great price. All 3 Steph's Pizza locations make Monday great again with a 16-inch large pizza for just the price of a small. You heard right, a large Steph's Pizza, however you would like it, for the price of a small. All 3 St. Charles County locations of Steph's Pizza are making Mondays great again, and they have a different special every night of the week. Check it out at stephspizza.com.
Beat the heat in true Cardinals style on Friday, June 5th, when the Cardinals host the Cincinnati Reds at Busch Stadium. That night, fans will claim a reversible Cardinals bucket hat, presented by Quick Trip. Clean and classic on one side, full ballpark fun on the other. It's made for sunny innings, backyard barbecues, and poolside weekends. All summer long, don't miss out. Get tickets now at cardinals.com/promotions.
This is Andre Palante. Get your tickets now at cardinals.com.
The weekend starts here. Grab your crew and kick it off at Friday Night Live at Busch Stadium. Every Friday night home game, Budweiser Terrace turns into the hottest happy hour in the Lou with $5 beers, $5 hot dogs, $7 margaritas, live music, and more all game long. Meet up with friends, soak in the energy, and keep the night going with baseball under the lights. Good vibes, great deals, your new Friday tradition. Get tickets now at cardinals.com.
Columbo here for my friends at Bluff City Outdoors in Alton. The knowledgeable staff at Bluff City has served the St. Louis outdoor community for decades, and they can take care of all your bow hunting needs, all your trapping needs, all your fishing needs, and more. Plus, while you're there, you can schedule a trip with a local fishing guide and shoot in their archery range. Bluff City Outdoors is open 7 days a week, 1 mile east of Fast Eddie's at 2813 East Broadway in Alton. Follow them on Facebook and at bluffcityoutdoors.com.
This is 101.9 and 94.1.
You millennial Trump supporter. I listen to it like every day. Like, seriously, you get it.
News Talk STL.
Good afternoon, everyone, and a happy 3-martini lunch to all of you. Happy Monday, ladies and gentlemen. It's Jamie Allman here with you and Ashlyn over there, and this is really super good news. I know it doesn't seem like a lot of South American political news is always great. But so I went to the country of Colombia a couple of years ago for my niece's wedding. She married a Colombian, and it was just outside of Bogota, Colombia, and it was at a resort, kind of like a country club that his family were members of, up in the hills, and it was about an hour away from Bogota. And 10 years ago, you'd never take a bus. You wouldn't dare take a bus ride. A bunch of Americans taking a bus ride from Bogota an hour away to some smaller town in Colombia, because FARC, the terrorist organizations, they'd pull you over and take everything you have, if not kidnap or kill you. It was just that bad. And I say 10 years ago, maybe more like 15 years ago. Either way, at one point, the Colombia government just cleaned everything up, took care of business, and just basically wiped them all away, which was great. But unfortunately, it didn't change anything about the direction of the country. Like, you'd think, well, now with a clean slate and all the drug lords gone and all this kind of stuff, that Colombia would come back to a level of like prosperity, whatever. Instead, it really didn't, and wound up, for some reason, getting some kind of leftist leader in there. It was really weird. When I was in Colombia, I didn't really notice a whole lot, except for, first of all, how beautiful Colombia is, how awesome a city Bogota is, how nice Colombians are, how poor a lot of Colombians are, and how respectful of each other, if you take away some of the crime, they are in traffic, which was really kind of amazing to me. So they have all these roundabouts, and you've got half are cars and half are motorcycles. And, here in the United States, if people were driving the way they were driving in Colombia, people would just be shooting each other every 5 seconds, as hot-headed as some Americans are. But these people, they were driving, and the motorcycles all weave in and out of traffic and run alongside the cars, and everybody just minds their own business. Like, nobody's huffing and puffing. Hey, wait a minute, hey. Here, hell, you just try to merge in and people get pissed off. Hey, wait a minute, that's a car length. I can't afford that in my day. And then they get all pissed at you just for trying to get in. They barely let you out of grocery store parking lots in this town. So, you guys know what I'm talking about. You ever see the guy, somebody's trying to merge, and then the guy speeds up. It's like, why would you? What kind of person are you that you would do that? Like, somehow giving up an inch of roadway is so impossible to you. It's just crazy. Anyway, I noticed that though about the Colombians, but they were all in almost like a symphony of sorts when they were driving around and doing all their things. It just, everything was so disordered, but it was well ordered in its disorder. Isn't that interesting? It was kind of, I guess, like a beehive almost. If you look at a beehive and you're all these, people, things trampling all over each other, but they're all productive. So it was kind of crazy. Anyway, the good news is, because I was always feeling like they would really deserve this, a conservative leader. And so it turns out there's this outsider who's a big Trump supporter down there. He's a conservative candidate, Abelardo de la Espriella. So on Sunday, he won the first round presidential election. So that means he is in the lead position for the June 21 runoff election against this far left senator. He's a 47-year-old pro-Trump lawyer and businessman. He's nicknamed the Tiger. He's one of 13 presidential candidates who appeared on the ballot in yesterday's presidential elections. Millions of Colombians went to the polls, and millions more are going to be arriving at the for the 21st. And no one really got more than 50% majority to win the first round. But what I'm saying is we're noticing that there are a bunch of really great changes being made in South America that really is going to change the landscape. I mean, we saw it happening in obviously Eastern Europe and some parts of Western Europe. We saw it happen, Hungary. We see it happening to a certain level in Romania. Romania is still a little iffy there. But, those areas there, then moving on to Italy, where you're seeing more of a conservative leadership there. Then, of course, Central America is amazing now. I mean, who would have ever thought that El Salvador would go from being like a hotbed of narco-terrorism to being a destination place for surfers? El Salvador, Guatemala. Guatemala. Because you have to do that. Like, don't you love it when the broadcasters, like, they're white as snow? Meanwhile, in Guatemala, it's like, dude, you can say Guatemala. It's okay. You don't have to do that. Obama always did that, although, So anyway, in Guatemala, you've got that. Honduras is still kind of a little nutso, but you've got in Panama, all these countries, and then of course Colombia is at the top there in South America, and if that turns conservative, you've got Colombia, you've got Argentina, to a certain degree, you have Brazil. Brazil is a gigantic country, so but you do Peru. I'm sorry, I mentioned Costa Rica. I mentioned Peru, in Central America, Costa Rica, which is where people are living now, So really, it's spreading. And quite possibly, although I'm not quite sure how easy this is going to be, quite possibly it could wind up spreading to Cuba. So it is interesting. And what's great about this is, and Venezuela maybe even to a certain degree, what's great about this is that it's so much nicer when movements towards conservatism, movements towards conservatism are natural movements as opposed to anything of a, violent overthrow or whatever. And it just seems like a lot of conservative movement in these foreign countries is organic. It's naturally happening, which is really pretty cool. All right, on to Megyn Kelly. So, I don't know about you guys, and maybe you're one of them, and you just don't talk, just don't go public over it, whatever. But this trend among people in our realm to overstate, they're just a bunch of pearl-clutching babies, fainting goats over the fact, this idea that Israel runs our country and that Israel buys congressional seats and all that kind of stuff. I mean, you saw the takedown that I played for you last week, because all these Thomas Massey people talk about the Jews all the time, but never talk about the fact that Massey was a pole dancer for the Council of American Islamic Relations, which basically has supported terror in the past. They're just a bunch of Islamists, most of them. The pro-Iranian groups, they all gave him money. I mean, it doesn't even, but they don't even mention that. It's always like, yeah, it's just the Jews, Israel. But they don't mention that that Massey was one of Allah's virgins. I mean, it's unbelievable. So anyway, this and obviously we just talked to Jim about this, and we talked about how what this stuff going on in Iran really is, and the consequences that Iran has this work will have on the rest of our future and the rest of the world. And it has so much more to do with anything of Israel's interest. In fact, when Jim Talent was talking about this, he didn't mention one time Israel. Yeah, is Israel safer because of this? Yeah. Are all the Gulf states safer because of it? Yeah. It's interesting how covetous, how protective of the Shiites in Iran some of these people in our movement are. It's just kind of crazy, like terrorists, to the point where they make it all about Israel, but don't even mention that the UAE and other Gulf states appreciate what is happening here because they have been terrorized by Iran also. And I'm thinking to myself, how is it possible for you to ignore all of that? How is it possible for you to ignore the hundreds of deaths just in Iraq alone of our U.S. soldiers at the hands of Iran? How is it possible that you could possibly think about ignore the Khobar Towers or any of the other Hezbollah bombings, the Marine barracks in the 80s? That all is tied to Iran. So how do you think that us trying to prevent more of a future of terrorism on the part of Iran that could ratchet up if it has a nuclear weapon, how do you think that that's all about Israel? Like, I don't want to go so far as to call you an anti-Semite, but it seems like you're way, way over interested in the Israeli connection, but disinterested in everything else, which is really unusual, and it doesn't make any sense. And then, of course, you have people like Megyn Kelly, and Tucker Carlson, these people all kind of noodling over this idea that, we're all in a state where we're suddenly awake to the influence of Israel. And I'm thinking to myself, Megan, maybe you and Candace and Tucker's audiences are, and others, but for the most part, we see the bigger picture here, and we can easily see that this is not only about Israel. Here's Megyn Kelly pulling her mask off once and for all.
Buying our elections?
What?
Is it almost over? Is it going to die with the baby boomer generation?
If you go to the doctor tomorrow and you find out you have cancer, you might feel sad, but it's actually a good day because you found out about cancer, and it's better to know so you can do something about it. You have cancer. But after knowing it, you're in a better position to improve your life and to make real changes. That's how I see this whole problem with Israel. We didn't understand this, how much influence Israel had over American politics. Glenn Greenwald has been sounding the alarm on this forever, as have people like Anna Kasparian. This wasn't something that was either known.
By the way, Anna Kasparian was the one who had her head chewed clean off by this guy who set her straight about Massey. So, I mean, suddenly Megyn Kelly is clinging on that little life buoy named Anna Kasparian when she was humiliated on her own show to the point where she blocked the guy afterwards.
Or accepted, I guess, by both parties in America. And it is now. This is the beginning of the end of that. The Americans are awake now on the issue of Israel, yours truly included, in a way we weren't. So that's the good news.
Yeah, I what's interesting is you can talk about the influence of Israel and completely ignore the rallies on behalf of Palestine and Hamas that are all over the streets in this country. How many rallies have you seen on behalf of Israel? You do see a couple of them here and there. You saw a lot of them after the October 7th massacre. But how do you see the exclusively somehow this rise of influence of Israel in American politics when you've got people on college campuses by the hundreds supporting Hamas and Palestine? You've got the mayor of New York City deciding not to attend an event that honors the Israel state. You've got a bunch of these Muslims in Congress who are promoting the superiority of Islam. How do you see all that and still sit there and say, yeah, the Jews really control everything? It's like, wow, that's crazy. How do you do that? How do you account for the news media? You know, you can call up CBS this morning or whatever else. They're constantly, I mean constantly, having guests on that defend the interests of Palestine, that spread the Gaza genocide lie. Almost every day you see these people doing that. And you rarely get anybody on TV mentioning October 7th and the massacre then. In fact, the minute the October 7th massacre happened, by Monday, everybody was concerned about Islamophobia. So how, even with a straight face, do you look at all that and still think the Jews control everything? I mean, I don't know. I don't know how you do it. I mean, Megyn Kelly's not stupid, but I'm beginning to wonder, like, what is it that makes you? Well, we have a name for that. It's called prejudice. And when and people who are prejudiced will not accept any goodness on the part of anybody or any other side of the story. You know, a person who is prejudiced thinks every black person is a criminal, for instance, right? Or every white person is racist, or whatever it happens to be. And so prejudice, by its very nature, is not allowing any other information in except for your conclusion about them. And so there you go. It makes no sense whatsoever. And ladies and gentlemen, it's Common Sense Radio. It's the Three Martini Lunch. Yeah, speaking of prejudice, though, man, Caitlin Clark, stuck there in the women's prison known as the WNBA. Her abuse is finally being noticed by broadcasters. It's about time, right? It's Common Sense Radio, the Allman Report on News Talk STL.
I think we should be able to have a civil conversation.
The news and talk that matters to St. Louis.
This conversation has completely made me crazy.
This is complete insanity.
News Talk STL.
Ladies and gentlemen, Hanson's Tree Service, hansonstree.com. And now is the time. I don't know. You saw the storms that happened, and I'll tell you, you probably saw some of your branches down, and that usually is a nice little hint that there might be some bigger things coming, including the death of the tree. So you want to make sure you have things deadwooded and pruned. May is just, man, I don't, last 2 years, May has been really a beast, even though earlier it was kind of pretty. But still, you got to think about how this is going to go for you if you have one of these big branches coming down on your kids, your people, grandkids, or your property, or you. And so Hanson's Tree Service has a great deadwooding and pruning program for you, and they're going to be able to get things done and help you along the way and assess the health of your trees, everything else. Of course, we head into June. You still can have some fun in the yard with their mulching. You can order that online. They have all different kinds of colors of mulch and everything else. And, of course, the Magic Bean to grow your shrubs and all that other mother jazz. The Magic Bean is a composting mixture. It's really great. It really works well, and I love it. I've used it. And I know a long time ago, this is how it got the word, I describe it as magic, is when Dave MacArthur, listener Dave MacArthur and friend, sent pictures of his sunflowers that he grew like 9 feet tall, you know. And Jack and the Beanstalk was eyeing him, thinking, I think I could climb one of those. But anyway, that's that compost mixture that's really awesome. And you can order it online at hansonstree.com. And also, ladies and gentlemen, they have financing plans for you as well. If you got to have a tree takedown, you're like, I don't know about this right now, you can still pay it over time with Hanson's Tree Service. hansonstree.com. That's hansonstree.com.
Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros and Exteriors, your all-in-one service team that brings years of experience and quality that's affordable right to your doorstep. Christine and I discovered Gutter Pros and Exteriors when we bought our home and inherited a gutter problem. And they've also repaired siding damage on our home because along with gutter repair, gutter installation, and leaf protection, the Gutter Pros team are also the best for repairing other exterior damage, including fascia, soffit, and all siding repair and installation. Learn about all the ways Gutter Pros and Exteriors can help your home or business right now at gutterpros.com.
Want to work with a winner? Follow the multiplier. 279 times growth in total market cap in the past nearly 30 years. 50 times growth in client assets. And ranked the #1 wealth management firm for employee advisor satisfaction by J.D. Power 3 years in a row. Choose a winner. Choose Stifel, where success meets success. Stifel Nicholas & Company Incorporated. Member SIPC and NYSE. For J.D. Power 2025 award information, visit jdpower.com/awards.
Ladies and gentlemen, Schneider's True Value Hardware. I got to tell you, I love these guys, and I am a big fan of Jerry. Hey, this has been in his family for a long, long time, and it is a great place. It's old school. It's just like you would have imagined it would be as you were back in there with your with all your friends, right? And you were there when you were little, and your dad would take you into the hardware store. There'd be sawdust all over the floor. Just have that hardware store smell. Well, Schneider's True Value Hardware has been in the in that area of Old Town St. Peter's for 100 years. It's been to Jerry's family. You go in, and one of the things that really stands out would be these beautiful steel line of battery-operated yard equipment and beyond. Just want to make sure you know that they do have the gas-powered, saws and things like that for you too. But the steel product is great, and they also do all the parts and service on it and repairs, you name it. And it really is the cutting edge of this kind of technology, which in the past has been kind of janky and only lasts like a year or something, whatever. These are long-lasting, really durable products, and they have them at Schneider's True Value Hardware. Don't forget, too, about the separate paint area. They match any of these other guys out there in the big box stores with their paint selection, paint mixing, all that kind of stuff. And they've got fun stuff like mailbox lettering and all the other types of stuff for you. So check it out right there on the web, truevalue.com/Schneiders, truevalue.com/Schneiders.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
I listen to News Talk STL on the app driving to work.
Download the News Talk STL app.
You got to get the News Talk STL app.
Love the app. Can listen anywhere in St. Louis.
And listen anytime.
News Talk STL right on my phone.
Anywhere.
The Allman Report, sponsored by Window World, 800 Get Windows.
circus mind that's running wild. Butterflies and zebras and moonbeams and fairy tales. That's all she ever thinks of.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's Common Sense Radio. It's the Allman Report on News Talk STL. So, Kathleen just put this up on the Facebook page, and it's sad news. Adolphus Bush IV, who was a big-time conservationist and good guy, has passed away at the age of 72. Reading this description from the Post-Dispatch, was one of 11 children of Gussie Bush Jr., which would make him the older brother of Billy. He was the eldest child of Gussie's third wife, Trudy Bush. And Trudy was also Billy's mom. He did back the purchase of AB by the Belgian Brazilians, and probably did, I don't know. Here's the thing: Billy Bush really rarely talked about his family because Billy is not that kind of guy. Billy is. We used to call him one of the good Bushes, but I think Adolphus is a cool guy too. He did participate in a lot of things to preserve bush wildlife and beyond, and so he is a good guy. And I think Billy did get along with him, even if there were differences over the purchase of the thing, the brewery. But Billy's a nice guy. He could obviously you could talk about stuff like that, and he did talk about it in his book a little bit. And there was some strife when you had a situation where Billy was trying to buy Grant's farm. That was Billy's original kind of plan, was to buy Grant's farm and turn it into kind of a better place, a bigger place. And I don't know how many of the kids, there are 11 of them, so I don't know how many were fighting over this and fighting over that, whatever. But the fact of the matter is Billy was denied that opportunity to buy that. And that's kind of why he put together Bush Family Brewing as kind of a Grant's Farm West. And he did. He had all these animals out there. He had alpacas out there and Highland cows, and it was pretty cool. You like Highland cows, Ashley? They're little cute little things out there. But he really loved the place, and Billy, that's what his was. But I never really talked to him too much about his family members, but it's my understanding that Adolphus Bush IV was a good guy, big time, hunter, environmentalist, and overall good dude, very philanthropic, and as a lot of the Bushes are. And so the passing of Adolphus Bush IV, aged 72, brought to our news feed by Kathleen Murphy. Thank you, Kathleen, for bringing that up. I had no idea, and so it just kind of popped on over the transom, and Kathleen picked it up. But thank you for that. But otherwise, don't know much. The Bushes, a lot of them, aside from Billy, weren't big public ones, except for the one who ran for Senate. But generally, a lot of them kind of kept to themselves to a certain degree, at least publicly, and everything else. All right. This Caitlin Clark thing has gotten really bad, and it is shocking. It is truly shocking that this isn't a bigger story, because this is basically this is a racially motivated abuse of Caitlin Clark. I mean, I know there are people still on the internet going, you think it's because she's white or you think it's because she's good? I said, it's both. But if she weren't white, this wouldn't be happening to her. And anybody who thinks that is not true, you are absolutely just fooling yourself. Certainly, I mean, you look at people like LeBron James, and of course, the beatdowns are ratcheting up even more now that Caitlin Clark's jersey is more popular than LeBron James's jersey. That must piss him off, as critical of Caitlin Clark as he has been. But the number one is Stephen Curry. He's the number one selling jersey. She's the number 2 selling jersey in the country. So anyway, the jealousy and the black hatred of her continues. And there are certain kinds of thuggy white chicks who are also part of it. It's not unlike a women's prison system. Nobody watches it, and nobody watched it until Caitlin Clark came along. She was injured, and the Indiana team had to give away hot dogs just to get people to come into the stadium without Caitlin Clark there. Nobody cares about it. So the most prevalent part of this is, finally, it looks like, for a long time, she just got abused, and nobody, even in the WNBA, even seemed to care. But now it looks like some announcers are starting to take note, and I think it's brave of them to do so, considering how racist everybody is in the WNBA. But listen to this. This is a broadcast team that basically breaks down every foul that the defenders against Caitlin Clark are committing, and this is just in one round.
The ball handler, there's a grab, there's a hold, there's another grab. I mean, all of those are fouls. Every single one of them. And here, that's a foul, and finally they call.
Yeah, so eventually there was a fourth one, but as that announcer pointed out, it's like, how is she continually? I mean, they saw just in one sequence where she was grabbed and it's unbelievable, and fouled and pushed and everything else. And basically, people are also saying that these are some of the worst refs in the worst league on paper, and they're just letting Caitlin get beat down and everything else. It's really crazy. And even now, apparently, the coach of Caitlin's team isn't helping because everybody is so bullied around by all of the black players who are a bunch of racists and not as good as Caitlin Clark is. And my goodness, this is basically public lynching in basketball. That's exactly what they're doing to her. So I hope somebody does something about it eventually, if the announcers are finally noticing. But maybe, unfortunately for Caitlin Clark, it's like, I'm hoping they do something about it because I wouldn't want the league to go away because I don't want Caitlin Clark to go away. So, you poor thing, and she's starting to get very, very upset about it, and it's just sad to watch. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the 3 Martini Lunch. It's Common Sense Radio. It's the Allman Report on News Talk STL.
What happens next?
The Iranians want to talk.
Happens right here.
What I'm concerned of is miscalculations. I think President Trump is wise enough to make the correct decision.
1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Gemini Wealth Group, the GeminiWealthGroup.com. And I got to tell you, when it comes to Jeff Portman and the rest of the gang, they're so good at what they do. And they want to make sure that you are happy and well taken care of in your golden years. And this is how they do it. They let you come on in and they want to talk to you. They want to talk to you about the importance of making sure that you have long-term planning in your life. And that's exactly how it goes. And so you have to make sure that you are in a situation where you are looking towards all the costs that you're going to possibly incur when you are retired. So this would be your housing costs, your medical costs. How about your playtime costs? Like how much are you going to want to be traveling, and how much are you going to want to be maybe even redistributing some of your own wealth? How about them apples, people, right? Can you imagine a world where a normal everyday person takes it upon themselves to redistribute their own wealth and not have the government do it for them? So that's going to be great, too. Also, when it comes to growing your portfolio, that is a super important element here. And this is where it gets fun, because this is where you have a investiture plan that actually grows your portfolio so much that you are living off of your dividends and not even touching that one part of your portfolio. So you could save that for later, do whatever, or when it comes time to paying for the kids' college educations or grabbing it out for a 3-hour tour someplace, then that's going to be how it goes. The Gemini Wealth Group, they're such great supporters of free, common sense, conservative radio. The GeminiWealthGroup.com. Get that permission slip to retire. It's okay. They will take care of it, and you will have that peace of mind brought to you by strong supporters of your kind of talk radio. The GeminiWealthGroup.com. The GeminiWealthGroup.com.
The Laborers International Union of North America, Local 110, was formed in 1933 and from the beginning has strived for progress and the well-being of others. The laborers of Local 110 are hardworking men and women who take pride in their great work. They are the fastest-growing union of construction workers and one of the most effective unions representing plants and quarries. Laborers Local 110 has the best medical benefits, pension, education, and heavy construction training in the market. Visit lu110.com and start your future today.
If you're trusting someone to manage your money, take a moment to do your homework. Make sure they are properly registered and check their professional history. I'm Denny Hoskins, Missouri Secretary of State. Our office regulates investing and works to protect investors. Call the Missouri Securities Hotline at 800-721-7996 or visit MissouriProtectsInvestors.com. Paid for by the Missouri Investor Education and Protection Fund. This is a public service announcement.
Colombo and Company.
Join us every day for conversations with a wide variety of guests as we keep you informed and up to speed on all the important news and headlines you need to know.
Live and local weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL. The Allman Report, sponsored by Gemini Wealth Group.
You to the Motion Worker album, which is already in progress.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's Common Sense Radio. It's the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Jamie Allman here with you and Ashlyn over there. So aside from my pool being basically full of mud as of this morning, I'm trying desperately to keep this everything grooving in the yard, and squirrel broke one of my pepper plants in half. The tape doesn't seem to be working on the pepper plant like it did on the tomato plant. Just stepped on it. Jumped over the fence or something, stepped on it. And then I had this hibiscus tree near the pool, and something is snapping off the flower buds. Like it's just a clean snap. And just leaving them there. Like, what is going on here? What is this? And then you look it up, and Claude's telling you, it might be like a worm or something. I'm like, there's no worm eating it. And the truth of the matter is, I'm told it's probably a squirrel. And squirrels like to snip off the buds and then just taste them and spit them out again. Just leave them there. Almost like they're angry at the hibiscus tree. I had to shoot a squirrel with my 13-round 12-gauge bullpup. That'd go over well. So I finally put a fence around it and a net, and we'll see. Oh, and you'd like this. The other night, was it Saturday? Oh, somebody was having like a music in there. They were playing live music in the background. I was hearing it kind of down the road. And they were playing like jazz or something, Oh, Phil says squirrels constantly eat the hibiscus plant. I think they hate hibiscus plants because they don't really eat anything. They just destroy them. Anyway, so I'm hearing this music playing. I'm like, oh, cool. I know what I'm going to do. What do you think I did? Yeah. I went inside. I grabbed my trumpet. And came out, stood on the pool deck, and I tried to play along with the band. I don't think they heard me. I wasn't trying to get their attention, but so I figured out a way I could play that without getting yelled at. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so you guys know right away, right after, what's her name again? Oh, Jasmine Crockett got defeated, right? By James Tallarico. I didn't come in the next day and celebrate the defeat of Jasmine Crockett. I immediately skipped right to the warning of the James Tallarico who defeated her. Because I was like, this guy is worse. Oh, Julia says the squirrels are doing the same thing to her type. So it's got to be the squirrels. Yeah. So I'm hoping that works. I put cayenne pepper in the soil, everything. So we'll see. Anyway, I said, be careful what you wish for because this James Tallarico guy is kind of a real true wolf in sheep's clothing. Like he is a robot. He is a phony. And the worst part is he probably, just because of how the news media will be attracted to him, unlike they were with Jasmine Crockett, he'll become like a darling of the news media and the doughboy for the Democrat Party, and that's how it's going to work. And that's how it's working out. And the more you find out about him, the crazier it is. I think they found out about his girlfriend or something. I don't know. I don't even know about that. And I don't really care as much about the personal stuff. But it's weird. They're starting to put together these clips showing that he apparently has this really weird rehearsed response to things. Like this was one response on CBS and the other on MS Now. And this is how it turned out. I'm sorry, I had the volume down. Here we go. Listen to this.
Well, I've gone to every corner of Texas over the course of this campaign, from Beaumont to El Paso, from Amarillo to Brownsville, and everywhere in between. And I can't tell you the number of people who come up to me at the end of these events and whisper, "I'm not a Democrat," like they're in the witness protection program.
That was the same person 2 separate times on CBS and MSN Now. In fact, Ashton looked at me like maybe she thought there was something wrong with the audio because there was an echo, right? Yeah, because that's exactly that's how rehearsed he is. Now, listen, I get that politicians I'm sure President Trump does it every once in a while, but politicians have kind of their money lines. I get it. I understand. But this whole thing where he's telling this story, and of course we know that it's a complete and total lie, that you're not getting Republicans coming up to him after his rallies. They're not going to his rallies, first of all, but you're not going to get them coming up to him, whispering to him, yeah, I really, come on. And why would you whisper anyway? You're at Tallarico's rally. Why would you be whispering? So even the construction of his sentence and his story doesn't make any sense, because if you're a Republican at his rally, at a Tallarico rally, why would you come up to him afterwards and whisper to him that you support him? Because you're at his rally. Now, if you're at like a debate between him and Paxton or whatever, and you came up and whispered, that's one thing. But why would you whisper at a rally? It doesn't even make any sense. Turns out there are more than two of these instances of Tallarico being just a bald-faced bot. Listen to this.
The number of people who came up to me at the end of those events and whispered, I'm not a Democrat. Like they were in the witness protection.
This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different examples of him using the same thing. And it is just incredible how this is working out. But again, this is where the news media is such an influence, because the news media will never kind of check this or do anything of that nature. They're never going to doubt. And actually, one of them did, though. Craig Melvin of NBC, who I sometimes think is sometimes has flourishes of some degree of journalism in his blood. He did ask Jill Biden a question about Joe and the stroke and everything else, and she didn't like it very
Days
much.
and weeks after that, you continued to insist that the president was fine. How do you square thinking that he may have had a stroke with what you were saying in the days and weeks after? How do you square those?
Well, look, Craig, look at it from my point of view. So I'm watching, just like everybody else was, scared to death, like what is going on? He gets off the stage. I see he appears to be okay. He says to me, Jill, I really, in other words, messed up, didn't I? And I said, yes, you did. And so we get off, and I know we're going into another event, or we have 2 more to do. And my mind is racing. What do I say to him? What do I say to him? I'm his wife. I've got to lift him up. So we go to the next event, and I'm thinking, what do I say that will lift him up? That is true. I want to say the things that are true. And so I said, you answered every question. My mind's racing.
That's a pretty low bar.
Well, and so I had to
listen to this guy, Craig Melvin on NBC.
To lift him up. I mean, I'm his wife. I'm not going to get out on the stage there and say, Joe, you really screwed that up. I mean, and we have all our supporters there. So, that's who we are. I mean, as I had to support him, I couldn't come out and, really publicly say, Joe, you did a terrible job in that debate.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a reasonable answer on her part. Except if I'm Craig Melvin, I probably would have said, "Did you tell him you thought he was having a stroke? That's how bad it was? Did you say that to him privately at all?" But I do have to tell you that Jill Biden's answer isn't like the worst thing in the world. I think it makes sense that you're publicly not going to go out and say your husband failed in a debate. You're just not going to. It's not going to happen. I mean, you wouldn't do it to your husband or your wife or whatever, and so I think that makes sense. But she's not going to sit there and go, "Yeah, I told him I thought he was having a stroke." I mean, she's not going to say that, but that's how it goes. Oh, anyway. I'm kind of sick of the whole Joe Biden and people didn't say this and recognize that because it's such old news and it's so obvious that they were hiding it. So anyway, you guys have a great rest of your day. Enjoy the sunshine. Ashlyn, thank you so much. Coming up, Tony Colombo and Company on News Talk STL.
Hey, it's Vic Porcelli. We're sitting here with our great friend, Chris Cooper. Hi, Chris.
What's going on, Vic? How are you?
I hear you wrote another book. This one's an e-book. Is that right?
The Business Owner's Playbook for Financial Clarity. So it is a great book for entrepreneurs. It's a very short guide. Give people, business owners, the ability to understand key questions that are